the murder.
We have no power.
Yes, well,
Like hoarders.
I myself have starred in a couple of mystery movies, and I can tell you the solution always lies in the motive. Look at Ralph. Look at Ralph. He gained a multi-million-dollar business and a beautiful wife.
Carolyn, you can win an Academy Award for your performance here today.
Yes, you could.
Marilyn, you play the part of an innocent bystander so well. Don't worry, stupidity is not a crime.
Leave the lady alone here, rotten grape. She's an innocent girl. Look at the eyes. They never lie. But now look at Frau's eyes. She has the eyes of a killer.
Oh, Otto, you are such a clever man. You slipped up when you left Barry's note beside him in the grave. That's proof that you were there the night Barry died.
I have already explained that I never saw this note before. I think Barry was still writing it when someone who knew a secret bay in Tuesday Vine cellar came in and killed him. What do you think, Eddie?
Give it a rest, Fonzie. A lot of people must have known about that stupid passageway. Papa Vito, for one. He certainly had an axe to grind with his boss.
I have no need for a secret passage. I come and go by the front door. I am family.
Family, family, family. I told you to stop saying that, Papa Vito. You are not family. You work for Ralph and me.
I built these vineyards from the root of my father's grapevine. I deserve respect.
Yes.
We respect you, Papa Vito, but don't get so worked up. Your old heart can't take it. Now, Eddie, she'll never have to worry about a heart attack. That's one organ she doesn't have.
Very funny, Ralph. And if this was the land of Oz, you'd be the straw man. The one with no damn brain. I know that you're nobody's fool, but maybe someday someone will find the heart to adopt you.
Oh my goodness, my gracious. I'm beginning to feel like I'm in a soap opera. For crying out loud, can we get back to solving Barry's murder? I have a question or two. In all the time you have owned your vineyard, you have produced very little wine, and you always seem to have one misfortune after another. And even with that, you appear to be financially sound. How do you manage to keep your business afloat, Eddie?
Yeah.
Well, it's really nobody's business. But in the interest of finding the murderer, I will let you know. I have a group of investment partners that are very, very patient. They provide the capital to start Chablis Vineyards and have carried the expenses and losses over the years as a tax write-off. Of course, they prefer to remain anonymous. But let me tell you this. Tiny, she's a cheap gold digger. She seduced Barry into proposing Mary, while at the same time she was having an affair with Ralph. You know, she's the kind of woman who believes of having a pair and a spare. Mary conveniently disappeared after dumping her, and then the tramp married Ralph quickly. She got it all.
Patty is so jealous. She dreams up these impossible accusations to justify why she's such a lonely spinster. I have my choice of men. She just doesn't get it. Ralph may have killed Barry to get to me. Days before Barry's disappearance, Ralph confessed to me that he was madly in love with me. He asked me to elope with him, but I told him I was marrying Barry, and there was no chance for him.
I didn't have to kill Barry to get Tiny. We were already having an affair behind Barry's back. And the marriage to Barry would have not changed that. I had the best of both worlds. Why would I ruin it by killing Barry? I've seen Papa Vito been spending an unusual amount of time in a wine cellar in the past 5 years. You're constantly down there tinkering and doing some repair. Wouldn't you have been secretly tending to Barry's grave out of guilt?
Well, Papa, what type of elaborate repair work have you done down there in the wine cellar over all these years? A new floor, perhaps?
Well, the mansion is old and the, cellar is in need of a great deal of repair. I have to spend a lot of time down there fixing things. I had no idea poor Barry was buried under the floor. Oh, God rest his soul. And in all that time, 5 years, Tiny had shown an absolute fear of going into the vino cellar. You must have known Barry's body was buried there and were afraid of his ghost.
Your idea that I knew Barry was buried in the wine cellar, that's ridiculous. If you must know, I have a phobia about basements. I was accidentally locked inside one overnight as a child, and I have been fearful ever since.
Does Dan Aykroyd have any lines?
Tiny. Come on down to the wine cellar with me. I'll see how much fear you have.
Now, we all know Marilyn's explosive temper. The Hollywood media is constantly reporting on her outrageous tantrums. You were alone with Barry the night he disappeared. If you lost your temper, could you have killed him in an uncontrollable rage?
No, Tiny. Those media reports are so scandalous. They'll print anything that sells. There's no truth to the rumors that I have an explosive temper. I had a couple of mild issues with the media and they blew it all out of proportion. Everyone shouts and gets angry once in a while. I never lost my temper with Barry 5 years ago. However, it seems that, Ralph, you have something to hide. Oh? Look at this! This is a death certificate for Ralph Rodriguez. Signed by the prison doctor 6 years ago. It seems that the real Ralph Rodriguez died in prison just before being released. So, who is this imposter?
Who is he? That's revealing, Ralph. What about this being an imposter? Is this something you've done before? Let's see some identification and find out who you really are. Or are you carrying other fake IDs?
A little of both. Okay. I was Ralph's cellmate in prison. I learned all about the Underwood wine estates. And when Ralph died shortly before my release, I stole his identity and came to Florida to try my hand in the wine business. My real name is Dario Santini. The great Santini. While taking care of the winery, Hetty developed a new wine that won international awards when it was introduced 5 years ago. Prior to next year's harvest, she had pre-sold her entire wine production. Unfortunately, somebody broke into the winery and sabotaged her grapes.
Oh.
And you accused Barry? Give me a break.
My new wine, Nouvelle Floridian, had received rave reviews around the world. I know Barry Underwood broke into my winery and tainted the entire production. He couldn't stand to see me succeed. I did not kill him, though. Never.
So, a new wine. Did you bring any of this Nouveau Floridian wine with you tonight? It would be a good time for us to do a little wine tasting. To see if you really created something as good as you claim.
What about Otto? On the night Barry disappeared, Otto and I were supposed to meet in his hotel room at midnight. We had planned a romantic rendezvous. He arrived an hour late and was covered in dirt. No. Really killed the mood. When I think about it, your actions were mighty suspicious, Otto.
Yes, I was to meet Hetty, but I had car trouble causing me to be late.
Yeah, sure.
Were dirty from changing the flat parts.
Sure.
Papa Vito, what do you have to say about the autopsy report? It seems it concluded that whoever killed Barry used a grape harvesting ring knife to fatally slash Barry and was very skillful in its use. No one is more skillful at using that tool than you, Papa Vito.
Yes. I am very skilled with the ring knife and have used one many times to harvest grapes. But it is a tool to be respected. It is for cutting of grapes and never to be used as a weapon to kill man or beast. Otto, I was at the winery the day Barry disappeared. You came to the winery and gave Barry a briefcase filled with cash. Thousands of dollars. You seemed very unhappy about giving the money to Barry, and you left in such a hurry you forgot your briefcase. What was all that money about?
Barry had invested in a business deal with me. The money I gave him on the day he disappeared was his share of the profit. The payoff was in cash because the deal was not totally legitimate. I can't say any more about it. Here is something for all to see. 2 months before the festival pageant, Marilyn posed nude for a cell phone. Barry threatened to reveal her secret to the pageant committee. And you knew you would be stripped of your crown if he did that. A motive to kill Barry, Marilyn?
Alright, I did. I was young and I was foolish when I posed for that magazine. And Barry discovered my secret, but instead of reporting it to the pageant committee, he pressured me to, well, you know. He disappeared before I decided what to do.
Ralph is too loud.
More significant information exposed. Ralph is an imposter. Marilyn has an interesting past. Ralph and Tiny are having an affair.
What?
My. We'll take a few minutes again. Drinks and cookies, or we can continue. We're going to move on.
Yeah, let's leave it.
Move forward. Here we go.
Go.
So, Marilyn, this July, why don't you bare your soul with the truth about Barry's murder?
You're pathetic, Ralph. Or is it Dario? Oh, Dario, or is it John Deere? Or John Doe? Not John Deere. John Doe. Either way.
Yeah, either way. I can't believe I'm married to an imposter. Yeah. Or am I married to a man who died 6 years ago? I'm so confused.
What else is due for all bubble? Fair didn't seem to be interchangeable. As long as they are rich, yeah?
Oh, dear Otto. Maybe I'll leave Ralph and marry you. I'm always looking for a spare. And I can run your not so legitimate business.
I think not, Tiny. I think I would like Eddie for my partner. She must have a good head for business. All these years producing very little bond, but healthy profits. I would like to know her secret.
It shouldn't be hard for you to find out, Otto. I've heard that you're really good at digging up the dirt, especially in cellars.
I don't know if it's important, but whoever put Barry under the cellar floor did a good job. In 5 years, I have not found one loose floorboard. The killer must be handy with his hands.
Right, and someone who's handy with a ring knife. That narrows the list down. I'd say you're at the top of the
And Ralph, your name would be next on the list. Don't you have a lot of experience shoveling dirt when you were in prison?
Well, thank you, Marilyn. You were always such a nice girl.
I know.
The temper. Mamma mia, you should come with a warning label.
Okay, all right, let's get back to business, everyone. My grapes are waiting.
Well, let me tell you why Hetty has such a profitable winery. She used the winery as a cover to print counterfeit $100 bills all these years. Barry discovered this and blackmailed her for a share of the profits. Hetty killed Barry to silence him.
Yes, Barry foolishly tried to blackmail me, but he backed down when he realized who my silent partners were. He knew better than to take on the syndicate. He would never, ever mess with the mains. He would never, ever mess with the Master's Court Mafia. That was the end of the matter. Ralph, the murder weapon was found lying beside Barry under the wine cellar floor. The FBI found your fingerprints all over it. So you killed Barry.
Of course it had my prints on it. Barry was murdered shortly after the harvest. I spent a lot of time using the tool to cut grapes from the wine plants. It's a coincidence that the same tool was used to kill Barry.
Get me a knife. I want to see how skilled you are. Show us how you use that in the vineyards.
Yeah, Ralph.
2 years ago, Tiny was in the hospital for an operation.
Back to Tiny.
While in the recovery room, under the influence of anesthesia, she started talking about Barry's murder. And she confessed to killing him. I've kept that a secret, but now it's time to let everyone know.
Throwing the wife under the bus again, huh, Ralph?
I couldn't possibly have confessed to the murder because I didn't do it. Whoops.
Next time.
Maybe you're the one who's hallucinating. I couldn't possibly have confessed to the murder because I didn't do it. I must have been hallucinating at the time. I just don't remember. Otto, Barry told me that he had discovered that you were using your job as a cover to run an international art theft ring. You mingled amongst the rich and the famous at parties and festivals around the world, and then planned the theft of their art treasures. Barry blackmailed you for a piece of the action.
If you steal a few paintings from the people, that is not such a serious crime. They simply put in an insurance claim. But murder, that is not something I would do. Even though Barry was cutting into my profits, I was making enough, and besides, I am a gentleman.
Well, that just doesn't hold wine with me. Empty your pockets and let's see if you have safety deposit keys or something else that might tell us how you stole the treasure.
Did you know Marilyn used to be Daisy Drinkwater? Her older sister was killed 9 years ago by an automobile driven by Barry Underwood. Barry was intoxicated at the time and drove off the side of a bridge. Daisy vowed to get revenge for her sister's needless death.
You all will have to speak up, or we've got the noise from next door, I'm sorry.
Yes! Yes, it is true! Barry was responsible for my sister's death. It's not fair that he got off scot-free. I was grief-stricken and vowed for revenge. But I've gotten over it, and I've forgotten my anger. We know that Tiny has quite a history of marrying men for their money. And before you came to Orange County, you married twice. To elderly gentlemen, and conveniently, they passed away shortly after your wedding, leaving their estates to you.
Black Widow.
My 2 previous husbands died of natural causes.
Okay.
Read the autopsies. I have a clue. Here's an interesting internet website. It's for ordering bottles of rare vintage wines. Papa Vito, perhaps you can explain how wines from Barry's valuable private collection made it to the web for sale. Did Barry discover your theft? Did you kill him? Papa.
Sure, I made a little extra cash selling those bottles of vino from Barry's private collection. What did it hurt? There were many bottles of vino in the cellar, and over the years I was paid much too little for my services. Marilyn, tell us about your talent in the Wine Festival Beauty Pageant.
Well, it was a very unusual talent, I must say. My talent then was knife throwing. Yes, that's right, very unusual, but I'm very good at it. That doesn't make me a killer.
Hey, now we're getting somewhere. Barry was slashed by a very sharp instrument, maybe a knife. Let's see that knife-throwing ability, Margaret.
I didn't know that could be deadly, but hey, Ontario! He may have murdered twice. It's doubtful that the real Ralph Rodney Graves' death was accidental. What about that, Ralph? If you have murdered once, it could be easy to murder a second time.
Yeah, Ralph.
I have nothing to do with Ralph Rotten Grayson, Gabby. You saw the prison doctor's report. He died from an accident. Shortly after Ralph's death, my great uncle visited me in prison and suggested that I assume Ralph's identity and move to Florida to make a new start. That briefcase you left at the Underwood Mansion, when you delivered the cash to Barry, we saw you carrying the same briefcase at another festival. How did you get the briefcase back to Otto? Did you kill Barry to get the money and the briefcase back?
Somebody sent the briefcase back to me several days later. I don't know who or why. Eddie, I remember waking up around 4 a.m. in my hotel room on the night Barry disappeared and hearing you talking on the telephone. You were saying something about a hit and ordering a cleanup crew. It didn't make any sense as he's on, but maybe you need to explain that now.
How do you expect me to remember a simple phone call from 5 years ago? My best guess is that I was calling for room service. Maybe for chicken stew, not a cleanup crew. Vito, weren't you fired by Barry and banished from Underwood Estates after he discovered you had been stealing his rare wines? It seems that you might have sworn that only Barry's death would satisfy your vengeance after such an unforgivable insult.
Vito, remember that argument you had when Barry fired you and told you to get off the property? Let's just see how angry you might have gotten.
I worked for 60 years to build the Underwood Wine Estates from nothing. It is my home. How could a boy such as Barry think he could make me leave my home? I was so angry I drank a gallon of Pinot, and when I woke up, Barry was gone.
Incredible. Hetty is a counterfeiter. Ralph accuses Tiny. Papa Vito steals wine from the private collection. Barry killed Marilyn's sister in an auto accident. And on and on. Finally, the suspects will divulge their true involvement, and you will hear their final denials.
Barry Underwood was a nosy neighbor, and everyone knows curiosity kills the cat. If he was snooping around my vineyards and stealing my things, it's a safe bet he was doing it to others as well. Obviously, someone didn't like Barry and knew what he was doing and killed him. But it wasn't me. When I explained who my investors were, Barry was smart enough to back off. I created all my mishaps to explain why I was producing so little wine. Since Barry was not responsible for those mishaps, I have no motive for killing him.
I may be an imposter, but I'm no murderer. If the glove don't fit, you got it. I didn't kill either Barry Underwood or the real Ralph Rottenberg. My fingerprints were on the ring knife that was used to kill Barry, but that's because I work hard around the winery. You'll find my fingerprints on a few tools. Now I've gained a lot since arriving at the Underwood Wine Estates, but I believe it was my destiny to come here and take control of this operation. What does it matter if I'm not an Underwood? They're all dead.
I did not kill my fiancé, Barry, and I certainly did not confess to a crime while I was in the hospital. I'm not a husband killer, just yet. I just had some bad luck with men. I was upset with Barry when he called off the wedding, but he would have gotten to his senses. The old FBI investigation report was a pile of rubbish. And just because I have a fear of basements does not make that the proof that I knew that Barry's body was in the cellar. What a lot of ridiculous accusations have been made that I've had to put up with today.
I'm guilty of stealing a few art treasures, but that is all. And so Vox, I only took these things from rich people who could afford to buy new ones. I am telling you the truth. Then I say I never met with Barry Underwood on the night he disappeared. I had a little car trouble and got my clothes dirty. Nothing more than that. I was not happy about Barry blackmailing me, but he had me over a barrel, so I paid him a lot of money to keep his mouth shut. I accept it as a cost of business. Somehow my briefcase came back to me in the mail a few days later. I swear this is the truth.
I thought I left all this trouble behind me when I moved to Hollywood. Barry Underwood was responsible for my sister's death 9 years ago, yes. I'll admit it. I'll admit that I wanted revenge, but I never got the chance. Someone else beat me to it. One of these suspects. As far as that centerfold fiasco goes, well, it really wouldn't have changed a thing. In fact, it may have actually helped my career. And at least the scandal magazines would have had something true to write about me except my non-existent temper.
Barry Underwood was like a grandson to me. Yes, he could have treated me with more respect, but he was still young. In time, he would have realized that Ralph and me and him were family. And family takes care of family. They forgive each other's sins, such as stealing a little vino and selling it on the internet for a bucket change. For 5 years, I wondered what happened to poor Barry. Now that we know, we can all rest in peace.
And so, we've heard from all of the suspects. No one admits guilt. Who's the murderer? Now you must make your accusation. You have ballots. Put your name on them. Make your guess, because turn them in up here.
What are you putting in? Hetty.
Make sure your name's on the sheet. We have and we'll do the draw.
But Hetty, you know what? Because I wouldn't listen to her, I would have killed her. If I was her partner. You're not going to listen to her. Oh, you had a lot of lines there, Dan.
Honey, darling.